Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Amani Birth. We'd like to invite you on a journey that's all about assisting expectant mothers who wish to birth naturally. This means honoring the birth experience as a natural, sacred act of worship and a display of trust in our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amani Birth honors all mothers and is open to women of all faiths so long as they respect the religious foundation of our program. As an Amani certified childbirth educator or doula, you will journey through an enjoyable learning process that will prepare you to support women who are seeking the best start in life. You will reap the rewards of helping a sister during the most precious yet vulnerable time of her life. And you will provide your own income potential that is flexible enough for a busy mom to enjoy. At the core of Amani Birth is education. Women who seek education about the journey through pregnancy, labor, and birth are actually assisting themselves to understand the process and choices they are obliged to make. Women must know that they cannot be complacent about preparing to give birth and that they do have decisions that need to be made in this regards. It's important they realize that when women default to the medical authority by not making any decisions, they are truly making the boldest and worst decision of all, and that's the decision to turn their body over to the doctor like a car to a mechanic. In our role as Amani childbirth educators, it's important that we impress upon women their right and responsibility to be good birth consumers, to shop around for a supportive care provider, and to do their own research about what they want for themselves and their babies. Our premise is to empower women so that every decision she takes is an informed one. When you become an Amani Birth teacher, you have the backing of a 118-page student workbook to guide you with your students. You will cover 20 modules, usually over 5 to 10 weeks, on topics such as physiology of pregnancy, labor, and birth, pregnancy exercises and nutrition to prepare for the big day, the importance of good birth consumerism and making a birth plan, staging a labor practice, working with your body to ease comfort and minimize complications, birthing positions, trusting your intuition, afterbirth care and breastfeeding, and so much more. At Amani Birth Training, you'll gain the skills necessary to teach in confidence, including listening skills and dealing with conflicts, grief, and loss. You'll learn about marketing your classes and doula services and gain confidence in speaking in front of a group. Your students will start their journey with their exploration of why mothers choose to attend birth classes in the first place. Parents will discover many truths about the pitfalls of pharmaceutical pain relief and will explore why it's worth it to try and go natural. For example, did you know that all pain-killing drugs have been proven to reach the unborn baby within 60 seconds? Any reassurances that they will not reach your baby or cannot harm your baby are outright lies. Did you know that drugs for labor pain are often given late or do not take effect until well after much time with pain has passed? If a woman has not learned natural pain relief techniques, she will be left suffering while awaiting medical administration. Now I'd like to pause here a moment and share a story. Not long ago, I was at a social gathering seated next to a notably pregnant woman. I didn't know her, but she obviously knew who I was. She turned to me and said, "Aren't you Aisha, the natural birth educator?" I replied, "Yes, I am. Congratulations on your pregnancy." She said, "Oh, I don't need your birth classes." I said, "Okay, that's fine. I'm not trying to sell them to you." She replied, "I'm going to get my epidural in the parking lot." I just smiled and wished her a good birth. I have to get her credit, though, because a few weeks later she phoned me and said, "Oh, Aisha, I wish I had taken your classes." I replied, "Oh, really? Why is that? Didn't you get your epidural?" She said, "Oh, yes, and I enjoyed it very much. In fact, when I got to the hospital, I was begging for my epidural, just like I told you. But unfortunately, we found out that our insurance didn't cover it. So my husband had to go downstairs to pay for it. And let me tell you, when he left me alone, I swear my pain more than doubled. What's worse, when he reached the cashiers to pay, it was Friday, Juma." Now, for those of you who know Juma in Saudi, you'll know that means that the cashiering department was closed as all the men are out to prayer. She says, "My husband was running all over the hospital looking for someone to take his money and give a receipt so that I could have my epidural. But of course, the only staff working during Juma is the skeleton emergency crew, and none of them had any interest in taking his money for his wife's epidural." She went on, "By the time he got back to the cashiering area, he ended up being 8th in line. So he waited and waited, and finally he got the receipt for the epidural. He then ran valiantly back into my room, waving the pink receipt like my knight in shining armor. But then we were told the anesthesiologist had 3 patients ahead of me, and I still had to wait. I was miserable. I had expected the epidural to provide me a completely pain-free birth, but I was left helpless for several hours waiting for them to give it to me. During that agony, I was wishing I had taken your classes so I'd have some clue about how to handle the pain naturally until I got the epidural. This poor mama. She just didn't know what to do and probably panicked and tensed up, essentially making her labor even more painful than it needed to be. But her story illustrates that even for mothers who aren't necessarily planning a completely natural birth, there are benefits in learning how to work with your body and labor naturally. Anyways, getting back on track. Did you know the drugs used for labor don't always work and some women will feel considerable pain after their administration? Without learning natural pain relief techniques, the only reprieve might be to be knocked out completely. And in fact, several mothers have shared the story with me that the epidural either didn't work for them or it only numbed one half of their body, either the left side or the right side. The mothers that happens to, they tell me that it's even more painful and more distracting to have pain on one side of your body while the other side is effectively paralyzed. They say it drives them nuts and they'd rather deal with the pain than deal with the half paralysis, half agony. Did you know that the drugs in labor may lead to a cascade of interventions that increase your chances for surgical delivery? With every intervention, there's increased risk. Isn't it worth it to try to go natural for the lowest risk to mom and baby? Here's another story I'd like to share. A very dear friend of mine had her first baby at a young age. Maybe she was 18 or 19 years old. When she had reached 38 weeks, she was just about to her due date. Her doctor told her that he would be going on vacation soon, and he suggested that they schedule an induction so that he could be the one to deliver her baby. He told her the baby's lungs were fully developed, and there was no reason to wait. He said there was no reason for her to experience the pain of labor. Just come in Monday morning. We'll give you an epidural and then induce your labor. You'll never even feel a thing. Well, that sounded like a pretty good idea to her, and she went with it. She had her baby, and all was well. Personally, I don't think that was the wisest choice she could have made, but, she was happy, so who am I to say anything? Well, she chose the same route for babies number 2 and 3, except the third time around, something went terribly wrong. Instead of numbing her from the waist down, the epidural numbed her from the nose down. This meant she couldn't breathe. It's a complication referred to as pulmonary paralysis. Her lungs were paralyzed. What's worse, she couldn't speak or even lift her hands to summon help. Thankfully, the anesthesiologist recognized the problem and acted quickly to intubate her and get a breathing machine down her throat, while the doctor quickly performed a bedside cesarean in an attempt to save the baby as the mother was dying on the table. Alhamdulillah, they were able to save both mother and baby, but both ended up with severe infection due to the life-saving cesarean that was done in a rush and without concern for sterility. Now, the part that gets me is that this mother heralds her doctor as the hero. He saved her life. She even told me how grateful she was that she hadn't opted for a home birth like me, because, her and her baby, they would have died. I have to shake my head at that. Seriously? She seems to be missing the link between the drug she was given at the hospital and her life-threatening emergency. Somehow she just doesn't get that had she opted for a natural birth, not even a home birth, just a natural birth, she would have avoided the problems that led to her demise in the first place. And what's worse, she just opted for the elective cesarean when she went to have her 4th child. Anyway, getting back to schedule here. Did you know there's no guarantee the drugs will not cause complications to mother and baby? No drug's been proven safe for the unborn child. Can you guarantee your baby isn't allergic to the drug? Do your own internet search for epidural accident and then you decide if it's worth the risk. Did you know the pain-killing drugs used in labor are of the narcotic family, just like many street drugs? Narcotics, like the illegal drugs taken on the streets. Would you inject just 1 shot of cocaine during pregnancy? Why do it in labor? Just because someone wears a white coat and has good intentions does not change the potential side effect of the family of drugs. Please think before you take an epidural. The sad truth is that most mothers opt for medical pain relief out of fear, not out of pain. Also, without the knowledge of how our bodies work, we often move or act in ways that actually hinder or fight the natural process of birth. In fact, we oftentimes cause extra pain for ourselves in labor. Sometimes the conditions of our birthplace or convenience of our birth provider put us in circumstances that go against the natural physiology of labor and birth. Understanding the mechanics of birth helps to maximize the natural safeguards that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has built in the design of birth and also ensures that we work with rather than against our bodies during this extremely physical event. For those of us that choose to go down this road of birth work, I have to say it's rewarding to learn how to support women so that they can learn to work with their bodies in labor. And for those trainees that also choose to serve as a doula, there will be plenty of hands-on skills for comforting laboring mothers. These fun and interactive sessions of the workshop are always the most loved by our participants. The concept of childbirth education and doula training is not new. Amani Birth has evolved from the inspiration of the many childbirth education program pioneers that have come before it, as propelled by the unique needs of our Muslim sisters around the globe. Amani is an Islamic chapter of the childbirth history, and one that honors our Creator through trust in birth, that welcomes fathers, yet empowers women. One benefit to the Amani Birth training is that you may pursue both childbirth educator and doula certifications in just one training. That's a very cost-effective and time-effective feature for you. Your journey doesn't end with the workshop. Our goal is to always encourage you and inspire you for continued growth and learning in the field of birth. After the workshop, or before, you'll be required to read 2 books on birth and 1 on breastfeeding and submit a short review of what you've read. You'll also answer online questions as you read the Amani Birth book. You will teach your first series of classes and/or attend your first doula birth with reflections and feedback to ensure you get the support you need. When you're ready, you'll take a 4-part open book exam to complete your training. At this point, you'll be able to certify as an official Amani Birth teacher and/or doula, and you may carry the initials Amani, A-M-A-N-I, after your name. There will be a nominal $50 annual certification fee to remain affiliated, listed on our teacher doula directory, and maintain permission to use our printed materials. To date, Amani Birth has welcomed over 100 women into the Amani family in over 5 countries. Very soon, we'll be venturing into nearly 20 cities across the United States as we roll out this important program in your local communities. Bring your passions about birth and support for new mothers and join us on the journey to empowerment and trust in birthing. Find the city nearest you on our website at www.amanibirth.com and register early to enjoy a 25% reduction off the normal workshop fee. That's a $200 discount. What's more, refer your friends and receive 10% off for each referral, up to 50% off for 5 referrals. That potentially reduces the $800 training to just $300, with early registration and 5 referral discount. Please make Istikhara, a special prayer for Allah's guidance and ease after making a decision, and register on the Teacher Doula Training tab of our website at www.amanibirth.com. May Allah bless your journey, put much barakah, blessings, in your efforts to assist birthing families. Welcome to Amani Birth, where we are assisting mothers for active, natural, instinctive birth for the best start in life.